Zombie Panic by Paul. Also narrated by Paul. After years of a zombie apocalypse, the zombies are low on numbers, and the humans are low on firepower. As the zombies start to adapt to more ambush team-orientated attacks, the humans must learn to adapt, to survive and win the war. Chapter 1. Home. First, we meet our main character, Victoria. She's a survivor, dressed in cheap worn clothing, cargo pants so she can carry equipment, a tank top so she does not get too hot, and a brown jacket. She is on top of a watchtower, which the humans use to keep lookouts for any hordes or hostiles that might attack our base. From here she can overlook the whole base. As she hums a tune to herself, she observes her surroundings. The place was possibly an airport in the past. Most of her people are living in hangars. The main one just next to her tower is where most of the people she knows lives. Over the runway, another hangar, where the rest of our people are. There is also a lake, or maybe more of a marshland. They used to have these around the airports, so it was not so easy for randos to just climb a fence and block the runway. There's a fisherman's shack there, possibly was a storage room in the past. It's about the size of a small barn. That's where the fishermen stay. They go out every day and fish to feed our group. As well as that, we send out scavenger parties every day. To save on fuel, they often go out on horses. Across the lake are some other survivors that also fish in the same lake. We are friendly towards them, but our leader John is cautious that they might turn hostile if they don't have enough fish to feed their people. I suppose we would too. But Victoria would probably not think about that. She is a caring person who has not yet lost her faith in humanity. As she observes her surroundings, her walkie-talkie beeps. They are not like military walkie-talkies. They are more like cheap civilian ones you might buy in a store. You take what you can get in this world. Watchtower 1, this is base. Check in, over. Victoria lazily picks up the walkie to reply. Base, this is Watchtower 1. No zombies to report this morning, same as every other day this week. Over. Roger that, Watchtower 1. Base out. Victoria thinks it's a little silly and over the top to use all the military speak on the walkies. However, in the past, things got very confusing on who's talking to who and when they're done talking, so it makes sense to communicate this way. Some people take it a little too seriously, she thinks, but I guess they need some way to pass the time. Next, we are introduced to John, the leader of our group. He gets up from his cot in the hangar, stretches, and walks around his room. We see on the wall a large map of the area around the base, with some places highlighted, potential scavenging areas, hot zones of many zombies, other groups that they know of, etc. We also see Polaroid pictures of every survivor in John's group, split into smaller groups, like scavenger and hunting parties. There are many red crosses through the pictures to indicate people who have died, particularly around the hunting parties, who go out and literally hunt down the zombies. John thinks they are almost wiped out, and once we get them all, reclaiming our world would be much easier. The red crosses, however, have been much more frequent these past months. John walks to the end of his room where he can overlook the interior of the base. He sees many people who sleep in tents and hammocks in the hangar below, resting, laughing, going about their daily routines. It gives John hope to see the people he watches over. He takes a deep sigh as he watches, however, the burden of leadership clearly taking a heavy toll on him. Lastly, we meet Jessica. She's taking care of the cafeteria. Make sure everyone gets fed. She's cleaning up now as the day comes to a close, wiping the tables and surfaces. She looks like the Jessica character from ZPS. Long blonde hair in a ponytail, a white top, and a waitress's napkin hanging out her front. She says good evening to all the people leaving her canteen. She's proud of her work and enjoys talking with her fellow survivors. She tells them that she will see you later. Everyone is excited for some event that's happening tonight. Chapter 2. Hope. Victoria walks into the fisherman's hut. There are a few boats they have docked up in there. She walks in with a bucket of water. She scans the room and calls out for Bill, not seeing him anywhere. Hey there, Bill calls out from above in a strong Irish accent. He's sitting on a platform above where he's made his living space. "Oh, crap, Bill, you startled me," Victoria says in surprise as some of the water splashes out of the bucket. "Aye, pardon me, Victoria. There's little to do for entertainment these days, you see." "No problem, bud," Jessica laughs it off. "You got some fish for us today?" She holds her bucket up and smiles at Bill. "Aye, as the boss man asked." He chucks several fish from above into Vic's bucket. She holds the bucket closer, squints and flinches as the water splashes into her. "John been bugging you again?" she says, with water dripping off her. Bill talks rather passionately on the subject. "Aye, used to be fishing was something you'd do for fun, to wind down and get away from the real world, without all its quotas and targets and the like. But John makes it like working in a factory, setting us targets, putting all the pressure on us to perform. You can't treat a fisherman this way, you know." Vic laughs in a jokey way. "Well, it can't be easy to be in charge. He's just trying to make sure we all get fed, Bill. Cut him some slack." "Aye, I know that," Bill replies, "but he could at least not be a dick about it." Bill takes a swig of his whiskey bottle. "Alright, big man, are you coming to the show tonight?" "Oh, no thank you. I'd much rather stay here with me fish." "Well then, good night to you, Bill. Stay safe." "To you as well, Victoria." Vic walks out with her buckets of fish. Back inside the main hangar, there's a sort of common room, a smaller room where people hang out. The survivors have made this place feel quite cozy. There are many sofas which people are sitting on, a couple of survivors playing pool. There's a slim man playing an electric guitar in the back of the room, not plugged into an amp, so we just hear the sound of the strings. In front of him are a couple of survivors watching a zombie movie on the sofas. A woman screams on the screen, and a man says, "What the hell is that?" while some cheesy old music plays in the background. "Come on, it's a zombie," one of the men yells at the screen. "I know, right? Everyone knows what a zombie is. Just call it what it is. A zombie," the second man replies. A third man sits with his legs cuddling a pillow. "Hey, relax guys, it's just a film. Not every movie has to make sense. Just watch it and have fun." Many of the survivors live in these small cabins, big enough to fit a bunk bed or two. Inside one of these rooms, Ellis lies on his back in the top bunk. He's reading a comic, Star Trek Voyager. Ellis gets lost reading his magazines about space travel. It helps to take his mind off the insane world he lives in now. Jessica excitedly pops her head up from his ladder to surprise him. "Hey Al," she says excitedly. Ellis is so immersed in his comic, he's hardly startled. "Oh, hey beautiful," he turns and smiles, happy to see her. Ellis may not like the insane world he lives in now, but having Jessica in his life gives him something to fight for. "Come on Al, put your comic down. We gotta go, we're gonna be late," Jessica says with a smile. "Alright, let's go," Ellis replies. Jessica moves in and kisses him on the lips. The two are clearly very much in love. "Let's go, trooper." She jumps off the ladder and walks out of the room to wait for him. Back in the common room, the survivors have set up rows of chairs. Many people have their seats already, clearly looking forward to whatever is about to happen. Our leader John walks in the room. Instead of sitting, however, he folds his arms and stands at the back of the room to watch. He doesn't tend to get too close to the people he commands. Not anymore, anyway. However, the woman at the front, who everyone's watching, smiles and waves at him. It's Victoria, the lead singer and guitarist of our local band. She holds an acoustic guitar in her hand. She takes a moment from tuning it to raise her hand high in the air so John can see her waving, and gives him a massive smile. While he clearly is a little embarrassed to show his emotions, John uncontrollably cracks a smile and waves back. He leans on the wall behind him, a little more relaxed now, but still with his arms folded. Jessica and Ellis are some of the last to take their seats. They're holding hands. Jessica pulls his hand as they find their seats. She has a massive, excited smile. Al just has a small grin. Clearly Jessica is the more excited and down-to-earth one. Ellis spends most of his time in his head dreaming about being a bridge officer on the starship Voyager. Now that everyone is seated, Victoria plays the first chords on her guitar to start the song. Behind her is the rest of her band. The group doesn't tend to use much electricity for unnecessary things, so the band mainly consists of acoustic instruments. They have a drum set behind Vic, 2 other guitarists on each side of her. They even have a girl with a violin sitting at the ready. They do, however, have an electrical keyboard and an electric guitar plugged into an amp. As Vic plays a song, other members of the band start to join in, adding layers to the music as the song progresses. Victoria starts to sing, with her whole band behind her. The song is very moving and powerful. She sings a song about how ordinary people every day become heroes. It fills the room with good vibes. There's a genuine feeling of hope that their community will go on and rebuild this broken world. After the song comes to a close, everyone in the room stands to applause, astounded at the performance. To have a chance to hear live music in this world is a luxury most people may never have. Jessica yells in applause, and even some of the quieter members of the group are smiling and applauding. As the crowd quiets down, they wait for our lead Victoria to say something. Instead, however, she hangs her head and starts to cry quietly to herself. People sit and whisper, unsure what to do. Vic's drummer stands up from behind her and begins to speak. We'd like to dedicate that song to our comrade Jim, who sadly died during a hunting party on Thursday. He raises a glass. To Jim. Don't get up. The rest of the room raises their glasses as well. Don't get up, they say in unison.